Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out GALA's price chart, and what we talked about in the previous video, I'm going to tell you exactly to the T played out. Why? Because if you remember, the last time that we talked about GALA, we were right around the highs, and the idea was that because in here we are having a very strong move on the upside, this can be definitely an optimistic sign. Why? You see, if you want to say that we have hit our final low, let's say around this region, then okay, you must be able to find a very strong move in form of a 5 wave without having overlapping of the waves. And this move up certainly had a lot of the characteristics of an impulsive movement. However, at the same time, we also mentioned this important point in the previous update. There are two very important problems in here. Number one, the phase before that right in here seems an awful lot like an ABC zigzag, meaning maybe we're gonna have something like an ABC flat, either starting from this point or maybe even from here. Doesn't really matter a whole lot, generally suggesting that in our last leg up we are actually going to have a 5 wave. However, that's not going to be a bullish sign. Problem number two, you see, we said this move up happened way too fast, and as a result of it, we did create a very important gap all the way down here between 1.6 to about 1.6.5 cents. And since I believe gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled, well, okay, back then made perfect sense for me to argue in GALA, most likely soon we are going to have a move on the downside, and we absolutely got it. The question is though, can we argue the bullish count is still happening? In my view, the answer is yes. Why? For a very simple reason. As you can see, in the recent phase down, so far, at least let's say so far, we haven't taken the lowest low down here about 1.55 cents. So you sort of kind of have an argument for having a wave 1 on a higher degree, followed by a correction for wave 2, and what's next? Huge move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And you can actually say that in like very short time, we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. This is another 5 wave on the downside in this initial phase right in here. You can actually go on some lower time frames and find the sub waves, no problem at all. So maybe on a higher degree, these are the sub waves for an ABC zigzag, indicating we're gonna get a move up. And I guess in the short term, this can be maybe like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. So you know, maybe the low is that. However, I don't really like this scenario. Why is that? A couple of reasons. Number one, so far, sure, you are able to find in this specific phase, starting from this point, a 5 wave. However, seems like that we are dealing with a slow move on the upside. And let's just measure it real quick timing wise. As you can see, this move up is taking so far about 30 candlesticks on H1 time frame. On the other hand, in about, as you can see, 28 candlesticks, we managed to have this strong move on the downside. So seems like at least so far bears are actually quite still powerful, and maybe we're gonna get another move down. So the second reason, you see, whenever you are having a couple of lows very close together, at that point a lot of short-term traders, probably those ones who aren't really making a whole lot of money, are going to around the lows open some long positions in hope that we see a very strong bounce back. And this is the key, pay attention, they actually put their stop losses under the lows, and unfortunately the price has a habit of not necessarily be cooperative with them. Meaning what? Probably after a very small move up, which is going to really cheer them up and think that we were absolutely right, we are the best traders in the world, you are going to see effective immediately a very strong move down in order to clear all the lows and destroy those short-term traders. And why is that important? Because if I just hide everything, okay, as you can see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 lows very close together, and I'm going to argue probably a lot of short-term traders open some long positions in here in hope that we see a very strong bounce back. However, for the reasons that we talked about earlier, odds are we are not really going to do that, and instead, either from the current point, maybe even a bit higher, not important honestly, we are going to have a move down and take the lows, and then at that point, okay, fair enough, we can have a very strong bounce back, because overall I still believe this can be considered as a wave 1 correction for wave 2 and then big move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And even if you want to argue that in GALA this 1 and 2 is not happening and instead we're going to get a move down in order to potentially even take the lows down here about 1.4 cents. Okay, I don't really have a problem with that. Why? Because on a higher degree, once more, my conclusion, at least according to my primary case, is the same. Meaning what? This is 1, this is 2, and then big move into wave 3, 4, 5. Basically, in my view, there is like a very, very high chance that in Gala, we have overall hit our final low down here about 1.1 cents. And a lot, and I really mean it, a lot has to happen in order for me to flip bearish. And by the way, let me tell you, even if we get a move down and take the loss, from my POV at least, that's going to be a beautiful, beautiful buying opportunity, because the risk to reward ratios at that point are going to make perfect sense. And if you're, for example, a mid-term trader, you can open a long position around, let's say, 1.1 cents. And your stop loss, if you really want to be conservative, can be somewhere around half a cent area. On the other hand, your bare minimum target can be around the highs in here about, let's say, the 6.5 cents region, meaning what? You are essentially having a 0.6 of a cent stop loss. But on the other hand, guess what? You are having about, I believe, yes, a 5.5 cents target, meaning your risk to reward ratio is, I think, somewhere around 1 to 9, which is fantastic. And if you do these kinds of trades long enough, you are going to overall end up making quite a good bit of money. So in Gala, overall, I am very much optimistic. Do not get that twisted. However, I think we should probably count on yet another move down in the short term. So in case it happens, we're not going to be surprised at all. And it's not even going to be necessarily such a bad sign. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Gala's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.